Welcome to Black and Gold. Kemet was never theirs. This is a direct response to the manufactured claims of Arab Egyptians. In the last decade, a new confidence has swept through certain circles in the Arab Republic of Egypt. You hear it online, in the streets, in the cafes, and especially in the comment sections. They say, "We are the pharaohs. We are the descendants of the pyramid builders. Ancient Egypt is ours." If you know any history, you know how ridiculous that claim is. If they were descendants, the burials would be full of garbage, not gold. The temple walls would show cooks picking their noses instead of praising Amen. Their certainty is so intense that anyone who questions them becomes an enemy instantaneously, especially if that person is a black descendant of the African civilizations that shaped the Nile Valley long before Arabic even existed. Their claim is retroactive, not historical. It's a business move, not a lineage. They couldn't defeat the French or the British, so they manipulated the situation in the only way they could. This Kemetic identity that they're claiming today is just a nationalistic costume, not a cultural inheritance preserved through centuries. And the documented behavior of Arab Egypt over 1,000 years proves this with clarity. For most of their history under Arab rule, they did not love Kemet. They were contemptuous of Kemet. They did not protect it. They did not identify with it. For centuries, the ancient temples, pyramids, statues, and sacred spaces were treated as pagan remnants. They especially despised the imagery of majestic black women and goddesses. Their modern claims of kinship only became loud once Kemet became profitable. Al-Aziz Uthman. In the 1190s, this zealot, the son of Salah ad-Din, ordered his men to destroy the pyramids. He began with the pyramid of Menkaure, the Giza Plateau. This was not neglect. It wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate attempt to erase the African civilizations they now pretend to descend from. They chiseled at the casing stones engineered by ancient Africans. Just like building the pyramids, destroying them was far beyond their medieval abilities. The granite foundation stood firm. They fell, but the scars they left remain as a permanent record of their contempt for the ancients. This wasn't an isolated incident. It reflected how Arab rulers viewed ancient Egypt for centuries. Pyramids were seen as monuments of disbelief. They associated the temples with sorcery. Hieroglyphs were believed to be magical spells, which in a sense they were, but the Arabs were contemptuous of this. The ancient Egyptian language was allowed to die. No institution stepped forward to preserve the ancient language, culture, or spiritual beliefs. For most of Arab Egypt's history, the culture that they now market to the world existed in the shadows, unloved, unclaimed, and undefended. Meanwhile, three groups kept the flame of Kemet alive. The first was the Coptic Egyptians, the Christians. Their language is the last surviving form of ancient Egyptian. Champollion cracked the Rosetta Stone using Coptic, not Arabic. The Copts preserved the linguistic DNA of Kemet in their church liturgy. They kept alive what institutions in Arab Egypt allowed to die and even sought to destroy. The second group is the Nubians. Their ancestors carried Pharaonic culture down the Nile before Norma united the two lands. When Persians and other Asiatic people overtook Kemet, the original people retreated south, upstream. The Nubians continued building pyramids and maintained Nile Valley traditions. You can still see the spirit today in the melanin and in the spirit of the Nubians of Aswan. The third group is the African diaspora, especially black people in the United States. We defended Kemet's black African identity when almost no one else cared. Frederick Douglass, David Walker, Martin Delany, and generations of scholars, community groups, and even fraternities honored Kemet. We studied it when many Arab Egyptians were still afraid to walk inside a temple at night, unless they decided to sleep there, in which case they desecrated it. So when certain voices in modern Egypt declare an intellectual war on Black people, they are attacking the very same communities that preserve the memory they now try to monopolize. They are claiming heritage that their own ancestors tried to bury, tear down, or ignore. Modern Egyptians have every right to take pride in the monuments on the soil that they colonized. Pride is human. Nationalism is power and can feel good, but geography does not equal lineage, and propaganda does not create a connection where centuries of disconnection has occurred over time. It was never lost. It was ignored until the world reminded Arab colonizers what stood in their own backyard. It's more than just an economic opportunity. So the people who are trying to silence Black voices have inherited a land, not a tradition. Their hostility is misdirected. It should be aimed at the erasure committed by their own cultural ancestors, not at the African world that gave Kemet its birth. The Black world should know this. The lies, the attacks, and the anti-Black propaganda has been non-stop. But if they insist on an intellectual battle, that is fine with us, because the battlefield is history itself, and history is not on their side. You've been with Dr. Perry Kyles. Thank you for watching. Like the video and click the subscribe button.